Today we unpack those raw emotions that you feel when you're asked to leave the job of your dreams. This week Australia saw 3 major shows wrap up and say their final goodbyes to their listeners. So what happens when the mics are turned off? Let's find out.
Someone said to me yesterday, and I heard it a few times, people were saying, well, that's radio and, doesn't it just make you hate radio and you'll never want to do radio again? And I stopped them and I said, no, it's made me love radio. It's made me love radio even more because I'm not going to let this take away my love for what this is, and I'm going to miss it. I wish we had more time. Every day we went to work, I just probably took for granted how lucky we were to have this microphone in front of us and the joy I feel on the radio. And nothing will take away from that. Nothing.
Christie Hayes was one half of the Christie and Dan show, broadcasting their show to Tasmania and Victoria Monday to Friday. They had over 4 years together but did their final show this week. Now, it is a lot to process. You're unemployed, you're leaving a tight-knit work family. Radio people seem to work closer than most industries, and you just share a lot with each other. You're confused, your emotions are high, and then sometimes you get to go back on air and have to share that devastating news with your listeners. That's a luxury. Sometimes not even offer that option. But Christie and Dan did an amazing, honouring final show. So how are they now? Well, let's find out. As we celebrate Christie's journey so far, Christie Hayes, welcome to the Quarter Hour Podcast.
Thank you, beautiful man. Thank you for reaching out. You're so sweet.
How are you?
Well, I'm in my pajamas for a start.
Love it.
So, I woke up naturally, 2 o'clock this morning. And for the first time, because certainly not my feelings yesterday, but for the first time I felt this lovely peace and everything's okay because, I woke up and I was home with my children. And for them to see my face and just be so happy that mummy was there, it was a moment that just made everything, all the stress, all the sadness, all that feeling of displacement and worthlessness at times, it just kind of faded into oblivion. And I was just doing mundane things. And I said, honey, you stay in bed. I got this. And it was a nice feeling. Although it was weird because I didn't actually know what they like to have for breakfast. Isn't that terrible? My son had to talk me through his school lunches. And
Hilarious.
then, and then tears came a little bit because I went, oh my God, I feel like I'm, work and something that I put so much value on is not there now. And maybe I have made a mistake here now with something that I should know from the back of my hand. And I know that sounds silly, but that's what the mind does, I think, when we're going through various stages and unpacking with our life. But look, that's a long-winded way to let you know that I'm doing great.
Okay.
Well, as great as can be expected, but then it's only early days, isn't it? I think that this will be just a feeling of riding a wave. I dropped my son at school, felt great, driving home, had a bit of a cry because I just went, now what do I do?
Tell me about your love of radio. Who did you listen to growing up?
I grew up in Nowra, 3 hours south of Sydney. So I grew up in Nowra and my local radio station was Power FM. It was always on and I loved Power FM. I thought it was really fun. My background as well, before that, I'm an actress and my mum always gave instruction just to get creative and she let us get bored, so we did. So one thing my sister Sarah and I would do would be sit around and just create radio shows. We'd press record on a tape recorder and just do voices and just chat,
Yeah.
It was free and it was entertaining and it was fun.
For those who don't know, you spent 7 years in Summer Bay. You were on home and away for a long time. But then you got into radio. Where have you worked? Give us your lap of the map. What stations have you worked at?
My manager, she got me into radio because she and Tony Aldridge, one of the greatest content directors, if not the best content director in Australia. I proudly say about Tony, he's worked everywhere. Tony saw me on the morning show and Tony said she'd be really good on radio and they were apparently talking about me. He got me into demo for a gig and I didn't know what that was. I just knew the radio station was called I-98 FM and it was owned by Win Television in Wollongong. And the show was called Marty Christie Crammy with one of my favourite humans on earth. His name is Marty Hayes. He's an OAM. Marty was on I-98 for
forever,
20 years, forever, number one forever. And Marty taught me everything about radio. And it was Marty that taught me that the listener just wants to know you. You don't need to perform. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to pretend that you know everything. Just do you. You're there because you got chosen. Just be yourself because the second you start lying, they will see it. And so everything from Marty Haynes was thrown at me to teach reaction. He'd always say, back yourself, kiddo. You're a natural kiddo. Don't tell me just yet the story until we get behind the microphone because you want to get an organic reaction. so Marty would do that to me.
Yeah.
So from I-98, I went to SCA. I went to where I was for the last couple of years at. It started as Hit 100.9 in Hobart, and then it went out to regional Victoria, to the hit stations across regional Victoria.
So you've had a couple of years on the radio. Tell me how they let you know that your show wouldn't be continuing.
We had a meeting on the Monday with our content director who called us in quickly for an emergency meeting. And then they said that we would have a meeting the next day about changes with the show, with the head of content with the network. And, the words, you can bring a support person if you need. So we all know what that means, right? And then
is that where you got a sense that something was coming to an end? Like, was it those two words, support person, that gave it away?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Changes about the show, the tone in the room, which was obviously hard for the content director, and just, to bring a support person. And then we had the official meeting the next day, and we elected to do our final show the next day.
So what's your initial feelings? You get told you're being let go. Who do you call first?
I called my husband, who works in radio, and then I kind of keep it to myself. I'm too embarrassed to tell people, and I'm still processing it myself. So that was hard. We're also told, please keep it confidential. So that's always a tough, weird thing because, how do you not tell people? And I think as well, people forget how close you are to your work friends, especially when you're in the same industry. You want to unpack things together. So that was difficult to keep it to ourselves. But then, the next day we were making that announcement anyway. And so it became, thankfully, out there in the open. And that was a relief, actually, just to talk about it and just, be open.
So how do you initially start to process what just happened? I'm shocked that you said you were embarrassed because you have nothing to be embarrassed about.
Thank you. That's really sweet. You don't rationally understand that, though, at the time, do you?
No.
That's not how process and even grief, that's just not how it works. Of course, people take things personally. It doesn't matter when they say it's not personal. When it's literally because of you, because of not that the reasoning was because of you, but it's, a breakfast radio host, it is you, it's your name, it's your personality, it is you that is on that show. So people do take it personally. And there's so many factors: embarrassment, shock, sadness, grief, stress, anger. All these things are so normal, right?
So you got to piece together a final show. How do you navigate through doing a farewell show to your listeners?
The reason that we chose to do the show the next day was because I could not fathom the idea of lying to our listeners. It was so important to both Dan, my former co-host, and myself that we were as honest as possible. We opened the microphone. We had a brief idea and we'd map some things out on our show plan. But the second we said, at 6 a.m., this is our last show, when we started to talk about it, I mean, the phone didn't stop ringing the entire show. So our last show was literally every break was us talking to our listeners. And we were so thankful for that. We were so grateful that we were allowed to have the final show, but an honest final show. And we did every single minute of the final show. This is no shade to anyone else, but a lot of other shows understandably might not turn up, or they might only do a little bit of the time because it's just a bit too hard for them, But we wanted to have as much time as we possibly could. And so that last show was everyone with our listeners, as many people as we could, about various different things that helped them over the years and stood out to them. So I think not only was it important radio, but from what I've been told, was incredibly touching and moving radio, and it couldn't have gone better. Plus, we also gave away $10,000 in our Alpha Bucks game, which was a nice cherry on top as well. When things just tie in beautifully, and that wasn't deliberate or planned, obviously.
What are you going to miss most about that gig?
Oh, the people. It's funny, isn't it, when you are starting a brand new radio show? Let's look at it like this. It's like a blind date that you're being set up on. The network expects you, as you do as yourself as a broadcaster, but obviously the hope and expectation on this setup is that the network want you to fall in love with your listeners, and the network expects that the listeners will fall in love with you back. So it's like a blind date. You both go in and neither of you know each other. And sometimes, as we know in relationships, we've all had some shitty relationships. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But in this blind date, where we all got to know each other and we all fell in love, this was a love story. This was soulmate relationships. I'm talking, we were close to our listeners. This was not a show where we treated our listeners just as a calling it wasn't like that, especially in Hobart. Hobart is extremely, as a community and as a capital city, not just a regional city. You know, it shits me when people say, oh, Hobart's a regional city. It's not. It's a capital city. And Hobart is extremely protective of its own. Hobart is detached from what we call the mainland. So, of course, Hobart is protective of having its own breakfast show and of having community-related conversations and everything that we had on that show. And it took a little while to win over our audience. We took over for Jimmy and Nath, who were so well-loved and at their stripes, but so did we in time. And it really did break the city's heart when we left, and ours as well. It was the best. And so I think that's what I'll miss about it. In fact, I know that's what I'll miss about it, is the people and everything that we advocated for our listeners. When
radio ends so abruptly like that, you've probably got 2 weeks of shows planned. What was that one idea you had coming up that you're like, damn, I was so looking forward to doing that on the radio?
I really wanted to do an Xmas in July. And when I say Xmas, so like an X's meet up for the Christmas in July party.
Wow,
you know,
great idea.
Yeah, right? Do we like that? Thank you. You can totally have it.
We're all going to steal it. We're all going to steal Xmas in July. That's a great idea that's never going to happen. We love it.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Look, it was probably one of those things too. It required a lot of resources, a lot of staff, and, you know, those things are kind of stripped back nowadays at a lot of stages as well. But there was so much that we had that we anticipated doing, you know, like I was just thankful. One thing that I did get to do was the month of May, where I was in my personal life walking 7K steps a day in May for raising money and awareness for autism. My 11-year-old son's autistic, and so for the entire month of May, you know, we brought that to the air on the show, and I was so thankful that I got to do that at times, you know, we did entertaining things with that, but we did real things with that, and I like that. Like, if anything, I was so glad that I still got to do that for my little boy and for everyone else in Australia that walks with autism, lives with autism, is dealing with autism or caring for somebody with autism. So I feel as though we lost so much of what we were going to do, and not just promos and prizes and things, but the important things. But I guess that's the thing, right? You know, you can make plans forever with what you could do with a microphone.
Having just gone through it, what's your advice that you can share with others who may experience this in years to come? Like, what's the initial advice you give to people?
Oh, it's such a good question, because I'm not good with advice, because I mean, I am, but I guess, well, people tell me that I am, but I often think, am I? Because my reactions sometimes are so varied, because I feel so deeply, you know. When I cry, I cry. When I'm mad, I'm mad. I'm one of those people that just experiences it all. But that's my advice is, if you're hurting, stay there. Keep going through all the feelings. Don't try and be pragmatic and say it doesn't hurt. Don't try and pretend that you're okay either. You know, we live in this world where we always have to put on a facade and normalize not having real feelings. And I think that would be my situational comment is, when it's painful, when you're upset, keep going, because you only ever get out of something by going through it, right? And especially people that do things like host breakfast or any other radio show or any other profession, you know, we all have feelings, and it's okay to grieve something. Yes, your value and the most important thing in your life, what I have been reminded of by losing something that was so valuable to me is, as they say, we're always replaceable at work. We're never replaceable at home. We are irreplaceable with the people that we love, and lean into that. You're going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. You know, got air in our lungs and there's sunshine and, you know, a good night's sleep. Everything's always okay. Just take what you can learn from it, love from it, remember it, and move forward.
I'm going to ask you one more question. What are you going to do in the next 24 to 48 hours to help yourself cope emotionally?
Get out of my pajamas. Spend time with my beautiful children, learn their lunch routine properly, celebrate life, not stress, not make decisions right now. Not everything needs to be solved. We don't need to build Rome in a day. I'm certainly not building Rome. Look, I'm excited. I really am now. I've taken time to process. I don't look back in anger. I have nothing but love for the network that employed me for many years. And I've got great opportunities ahead. I'm lucky to have that. So the next 28 to 48 hours, I'm just going to enjoy my family, do what everyone else does, and place value on where I am valued. That's most important, right?
It sounds like you're okay, and it sounds like you're going to be okay. I'm really heartened by the way I hear you talk. I'm like, okay, she's going to be all right.
Thanks, legend. I am. I'm going to be just fine. I had my heart ripped apart and broken in two, and I won't lie, I was really shocked and probably a little bit too, let me use the correct word because cocky is not the right word, but I felt very confident and comfortable in where I was working in our show because this is humbly said, but we were a show that delivered. We had, and you know, we were number one in Hobart. That's a very hard spot to knuckle down. We were mostly number one in regional Victoria. Mildura, we were behind, but just behind, and we were happy that Triple M was number one there. Triple M should be number one because they're live and local, and that's what we want, you know. And so I guess we were just surprised because we were a show that delivered, but that kind of makes it nice as well because, like, we at least did great work and we went out on a high, and that was lovely. So irrespective, I can't even do anything about it now. I certainly am not one to plead or beg. I'm happy for the next show. I wish them all the luck in the world. We made a point of saying that on our radio show, that the people that step in are going to, they're wonderful people. They work really hard. And I think that looking back with love and happiness is just the sort of person that I am. I loved when I worked at R98. I loved when I worked at SCA. I know that I'll love where I work next. And most importantly, we can't let these things tarnish our memories. Why would a bad few days ruin 4 years of wonderful memories and success?
Well, can we just say we wish you well? We know this isn't the end. It's like it's a new beginning. Congrats on finishing with class and dignity. I mean, we all know it's nothing you did. We look forward to supporting you in your next chapter, and just thank you for your honesty and openness today. I know your story is going to help others in similar situations. And Christie Hayes, thank you for joining us on the Quarter Hour podcast.
Thank you so much, legend. Merry Christmas.
I cannot believe what a good idea that was. Xmas. That is such a good idea. I'm like, I guarantee off the back of this podcast, someone is going to pick this up. It will happen somewhere in Australia and we can all go, that was Christie's idea. That was Christie's idea.
Yay! There we go. And I'll get a job in promotion. That can be my next gig.
Someone somewhere is going to go, well, she's not going to use it. Well, no, she's not. So we might...
Yeah, it's all yours now. I can't use it anywhere.